Welcome everyone to episode 66? 66? 62? Jeez. Everything's going wrong right now. Welcome everyone to episode 62 of Video Game Club. As always, I am your host, Tyler, and I have with me today Kyoka's lover boy, Austin. And it would not be a Video Game Club episode without the lore master herself, Mox.
Hello.
Hello,
I liked
Mox.
Kyoka too. Can we?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, she's my favorite.
Aw.
She can duplicate, so there's
There's
more
plenty
than
of
enough
Kyoka to go around.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Mox, how are you doing?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing well. You been playing anything besides Scarlet Nexus?
Well, I think the question is, what have I been playing instead of Scarlet Nexus? I didn't plan
That's
my
fair.
time very well. And you guys had said like, oh, it's 20 hours for both playthroughs. And it wasn't until you beat the game, which then by then it was too late for me to catch up, that wasn't true. And I very much bided my time with this, and I should not have. And so what I've been playing instead is Harvestella, which I feel a bit guilty about because everybody was like, don't buy it. Square Enix needs to spend more time on their games. But I do still love it a lot. And I cannot recommend people not to buy it. So I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. I think Square Enix has been putting out some bangers recently.
People are like, you can't customize your character except choosing her hair color, and you get to choose a male or a female voice and your name, and that's it. And it's like, yeah, I wish I could customize more, but I like the game as it is. I wouldn't change it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. Are you pretty far in Harvestella?
I have no idea. There's like,
Okay.
Like chapter 3 is going to 3 different towns, A, B, C, and I'm like halfway through A, but I don't know how many chapters there will be. I assume it isn't just 4. And the story is, it reminded me of Scarlet Nexus a bit too, with how like crazy it is, but also it's a bit more, I don't know, grounded, let's say. It's very good.
I have a question. How does the combat of Harvestella compare to other games in the same vein?
It reminds me a lot of Final Fantasy XIV, which other people have likened it to as well. In that you have like classes that you can choose, and then each class is a viable class. It's just kind of like, what is your play style? And then you really should play at least like several of them, if not rotating through all of them. And it starts off small, but then it gets more complicated as you go along. So I quite like it in that it's like different. But I think this game, what it does best is it does everything like pretty great, but not very deep. Just a jack of all trades, but then not super like complicated, which I like.
Gotcha. I'm intrigued. I'm interested.
I like it. The music is just amazing too. It's like a mix between Final Fantasy, like all, great Final Fantasy, and then also it has some of the Nier Automata with like the choral elements. I know, I just love it.
Ooh. Austin, what about you? What have you been playing besides Scarlet Nexus?
And Yakuza something.
Not yet. I actually did not get to play any of that over the holidays, unfortunately.
I'm
but
so sorry.
yeah, hopefully soon I'll get to work on that some more. But Tyler gifted me Sonic Frontiers for Christmas. And so I played that start to finish, got 100%, got all the achievements, which I haven't done for a game. I don't do that very often for games. So it's one of the very few I have on Steam that's 100% all the achievements. I had a blast with that. So I see it definitely has like some problems, but the dev team, it's kind of similar to Jedi Fallen Order, where it's like there's big problems. There's big problems, but the dev team focused on, like, if they were going to focus on fixing one thing, they focused on the right stuff. So it was fun to play, and, like, the problems didn't really break the game for me. There's definitely stuff I would love to have fixed, but it's like, overall, it was really fun. I had a great time, so thank you for gifting that to me, Tyler.
Of course.
I also started After Party, and I played that for a couple hours and abandoned it. I was extremely disappointed with After Party, at least to the point that I played. If you're not familiar with it, it's a game about you go to hell, you're trying to get out. Like, your ticket out is to outdrink the devil. And, for a game with such a great premise, it is just dreadfully boring. The dialogue is... It reminds me of, like, every time anyone's talking, I feel like I'm playing Life is Strange, and, like, I just cringe at all the dialogue. Your taxi driver, who's, like, kind of a main character, is actually voiced by, I think it's the same person who voiced Chloe.
Oh, yep. No.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
and we'll never know if your choices matter in After Party.
We'll never know, because I'm not making it to the end. And for a game where drinking is supposed to be like a main mechanic, like, even the drinking is pretty boring in there. Like, you choose a drink of a different kind, and like, but you pick one, and that's what you have for like the conversation that you're going into. And if you drink it, then you get an extra dialogue option. But like, it would be a lot more interesting if you could drink it. Maybe later you get to have other stuff, but like, oh my god, it was very disrespectful of my time.
Sounds like Catherine when you drink. It's like, oh, here's some trivia.
Oh yeah.
I've never heard of this game.
It seems like a game from the outside looking in. I haven't played it like Austin has, but it seemed like something you would be interested in, Mox.
Well,
on the surface,
not now.
No, not
Although
now.
I do like Ashley Birch.
No.
She's the voice, Ashley Birch. Sorry.
Well, if you liked her performance in Life is Strange, then you'll like this, because she's basically still playing Chloe in this.
Well, I liked her in other things, Zero Dawn, all that.
Well, if you liked her in Life is Strange, then you'll like her in this, because she's basically playing Chloe.
Anything else, Austin?
I can't remember. The last few weeks have been just like a haze. So.
Yeah, that's fair. I have also fully completed Sonic Frontiers, all achievements as well, and it is very good. I agree with Austin. It's a great game, especially if you're a fan of 3D Sonic games. Like if you liked Adventure 2, I think it's worth playing. I kind of wanted to play didn't they do like a Sonic Colors remaster?
They did. Apparently the remaster is really bad.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
I am happy to report that I have completed Ghostwire Tokyo.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
It's fully completed, and the ending was worth it. It's a very good game, and I'm a bit sad that it didn't make a bigger splash when it came out, because of how I feel like it's a pretty special, pretty good game.
It's the curse of Shinji Mikami.
For real.
At least post Capcom.
Yeah. And I beat the Cuphead DLC, which Austin talked about, I think, a few episodes back. Delicious Last Course. That is really good. And then, Mox, I started Live Alive. I don't know if you've played it or...
I tried to play it. I didn't like it that much, but I'm interested to hear what you think of it.
Which path did you pick?
Well, I played the demo, which whatever the demo has you do. It just I don't know, the story didn't interest me. The gameplay wasn't super interesting. I don't know.
I did the prehistory one, and it's been pretty good so far. There's no dialogue at all, because it's like they can't speak to each other. So there's no dialogue, and
I think I would die. I need dialogue.
They act out things and draw pictures to explain how they're feeling and what's going on, and I really like it. The music is phenomenal, and the art is beautiful. Now, before we get started, just a reminder, this is Video Game Club, where usually every 2 weeks we discuss a game voted on by our wonderful friends in the Bombchu Discord and discuss that game right here on twitch.tv/BombchuTV. If you can't catch us live, don't worry. You can find us on YouTube, all major podcast services. Just search Bombchu Video Game Club. You'll find it. And if you appreciate what you're hearing, please consider subscribing, rating, commenting, all those fun things. We have a little nominations channel if you want to nominate something for a vote in Discord as well. So if you want us to play something different, let us know. The nominations for this episode were Tales of Arise, Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen, and Scarlet Nexus. And I looked at the vote because I was curious. It was pretty close. It was tied, Dragon's Dogma and Scarlet Nexus. This could have been totally different. Yep. Different timeline. So, Scarlet Nexus. It's a heavy action RPG. I feel like it almost has some I haven't. Well, I can't say this because I haven't played Devil May Cry, but from the outside looking in, it looks like it has some Devil May Cry-esque action in it. No, okay,
no.
what about? Does it? Would you say like Nier Automata action? No. Okay,
I wouldn't. Yeah, I would not agree with that either.
What would you compare it to? Anything? It's just its
Astral
own thing.
Chain. If anybody's played that.
I've only played the tutorial. I haven't really gotten deep into it. I'm trying to think of a game I would liken this to, and I can't really think of anything.
Wow. Okay. It's its own thing.
Well,
maybe like Astral
Chain. Yeah.
Okay. The game was developed by Bandai Namco Studios and also Tosei. Is anyone here familiar with Tosei?
It sounds familiar.
Austin?
When I saw the logo, I was like, I'm pretty sure I've played something else from them.
So Tosei is they like to call themselves a ghost company. So typically historically they've worked on a bunch of games with Nintendo, especially around the Famicom and Super Famicom days. But they their preference is to like stay in the shadows, according to I don't know. But they have worked on one game that we've played for Video Game Club.
Was it Nier Automata?
No. It was...
You gotta give us a little hint here.
Famicom Detective Club. Austin's favorite game.
They have made or contributed to a great many games.
Yes, they have. It's crazy.
I don't understand. What do they do? How are they in the shadows?
From what I've read, they like to take an idea and realize it. They don't like come up with their own ideas that often. So they like someone visionary to come in and then they'll make it happen. The game was published.
Make games?
They work on them.
Okay. My goodness.
The game was published by Bandai Namco Entertainment. It was released June 25th, 2021. So, what was going on in 2021? It was 2 years ago now.
Can't believe
we had the Switch OLED, Analog Pocket, the Atari VCS, and the Steam Deck was supposed to launch but didn't. Same with the Playdate. They got postponed, delayed till 2022. Software, we had Yakuza Like a Dragon, Resident Evil Village, Returnal, Skyward Sword HD, Far Cry 6, many more, including a few games we played for Video Game Club. Any guesses?
Metroid Dread.
Mm-hmm.
Death's Door.
Death's Door. Mm-hmm. Me and Mox's. No. Me and Mox's and
Inscription.
Yep. And then one that I didn't finish.
Oh, the Grow.
Yep.
The only game you didn't finish.
The only game. 2021.
Which just showed up in a humble choice.
Yeah, it's in a bundle now. Yeah.
And now I'm mad that I bought it.
Same. Big same. Man, Death's Door. You guys remember? It's good.
I have it on my desktop right now next to Inscription.
Also good.
Go back to it.
Metroid Dread.
Oh my gosh, the speedruns for Metroid Dread are amazing. Everyone should watch it just for that.
There's going to be a Metroid Dread run during GDQ, so hopefully they pick a good runner.
Hell yeah. Awesome. So how did Scarlet Nexus review? 7s and 8s. People really like the combat system, especially how the telekinesis worked. Mox, are you going to correct me on telekinesis?
Well, I guess it's like there's 1,000 different powers. So if you say anything kinesis, something will be there.
I think later they find out that it's called like gravikinesis or something.
Well, and then there's psychokinesis, and then there's geokinesis, and
they liked how it introduced new game mechanics and visuals. People weren't big fans of the story taking a while to pick up. And I
about
know
10 hours, honestly.
People didn't really like the enemy variety, the side quests, and a lot of people brought up that it's not needed, but it helps to be an anime fan for this game. Like, it's not a requirement, but if you're a fan of anime, you'll enjoy it even more. Which I can concur with that.
I'm not like the biggest anime fan, but I don't mind the art style and like how it turns into media, and it was good.
Whenever I first started it, I was like, this has to be based off an anime. And then I found out that they made an anime at the same time, side by side. It's
I think one of the initial things that turned people off is they thought it was going to be like the next transmedia whatever, where it's like, it's a game, it's a show, it's a comic, it's everything.
Yeah.
But then when people actually took a look, it was like, oh, the game's actually not bad.
Yeah. So now, jumping into our discussion, talking about the gameplay, it's an action role-playing game, not like Devil May Cry, more like Astral Chain, played from a third-person perspective. You can control either Yuito or Kasane. There's 2 paths, 2 campaigns that you can go on. You make that start at the beginning. Both characters have a short-range weapon. Actually, does Kasane have a sword or does she use a gun? I can't remember.
They're little like
knives
that fly around her.
Okay. Is hers more long distance? Her knives?
Not very.
No, okay.
I would say, yeah, she has, like Jussie said, her CQC and then her
CQC. And then,
CQC.
They have the psychokinesis or telekinesis or,
Psychomantis.
They can hurl objects.
Boss. Sorry.
Psychomantis. Gosh. All right, Mox,
you
want to play Metal Gear?
put your controller in the other slot so he doesn't read your attacks. That's so novel.
Good old Kojima. That's why we all love Death Stranding, right, Mox?
No, I feel bad because just like Metal Gear Solid can do no wrong.
Kojima can do no wrong, if you ask me.
Go look at Metal Gear Survive, and then we'll come back.
It's like
we're getting off the rails here.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'm set. That's all the Metal Gear Solid I need.
That's fair. So the protagonists, you can upgrade their power through they have like a skill tree. I think it's called a brain map.
Yes.
There's also, as you progress in the game, you can borrow or use other characters' powers in your party, which are pretty cool. There's some really cool ones like teleportation and like a pyro one.
Electricity,
duplication, electricity,
invisibility,
bunch of really cool ones.
Hypervelocity.
Oh yeah, hypervelocity. And each companion can be like their bond can be leveled up, and when you level up their bond, you get their skills increase as well, which is really cool. The story is divided into phases, and each phase consists of like a heavy story mission, and then there's a standby, basically, I think is what they call it, standby phase for interacting with your party and doing side quests and stuff like that. What did you guys think of the gameplay loop? Start with you, Mox, from what you played.
I played half of it. I don't know.
And you did Kasane, right?
Yes, of course. I'm told, and I watched all of the cutscenes after the half that I watched, which was it's like 3 hours of cutscenes in the first half of the game, and then I think it was 16 hours of cutscenes in the second half of the game, which is insane to me. But anyway, so I didn't get to see like tons of the gameplay in the second half of the game, but I'm told it's different from the first, in that in the first half it's a lot of like, oh, go to this area because you must, and then you just walk and there's nothing to do and you're walking, and then you walk to an area and then a cutscene happens. And I'm like, I don't know why I walked. I thought, I miss the monsters? And so I a couple of times reloaded and went back because I assumed I missed something. But as far as I can tell, there's nothing. You just walk. And that happened far more times than I expected, which I expected 0. And it happened 15 times. I couldn't believe it. But anyway, I didn't mind the gameplay loop of go and do a thing, kill a boss, and then everybody's like, we got to get back to our hideout. As if not every single person that is involved in the game knew where it was, which they did. And then you talk in the hideout and then have your little things, and then you decide, okay, I'm ready. And I always felt like, oh gosh, it's so final. I have to give up the standby phase. But I feel like immediately later, there was another standby phase. But maybe that's different in the later half of the game.
No, it kind of stays that path for a while. All the way up until the very end.
That it cheapened our bonds as a team because it's like we rarely spent any time apart. And then we're suddenly best friends now.
Yeah, that's. How did you feel about the side quest stuff, Mox? Like
They were dumb. I hope you're talking about the actual, like, citizens have quests that they would like you to do. Mm-hmm. Because they were universally dumb.
They were terrible.
I don't understand, like, who decided they should be that way. Some of them were, like, difficult, and I struggled. Or I didn't know where the monster was that I specifically had to kill. And then they have, like, very specific ways you have to kill them. And some of that required upgrades in your brain map, which I'm like, I didn't prioritize that. And now I'm like...
The rewards weren't worth it.
I know. No. They were like one little, like, what do they call it? Like, material. and like, they'll give you some material. It's like, oh, can I have this really rare material? Like, I'll do a quest for that. No, never.
Yeah. They were bad. Austin, you also went with Kasane, right?
I did.
And how was your gameplay experience? Because you got different powers than if you would have played Yuito.
Up to a point.
To the story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, like, the powers were fine. They were, especially like, once you get your team, like, really fleshed out and together. Anytime they would be like, oh, you're by yourself, it sucked. It really sucks being alone and not having anyone else's powers.
Her power, well, both of their powers, like the main characters, just kind of suck.
Yeah.
I think it was really fun at first, but it doesn't have like
it doesn't expand well.
Yeah.
A lot of the fun expansion of the combat is in how you start to use more of your teammates. And so I don't know why they were... maybe it was to make you appreciate your teammates more, but anytime it was just like, okay, now you're by yourself, it sucked. In terms of the structure, like the gameplay loop, I thought... I didn't really like the pacing of it. I felt like it needed to be... each part needed to be broken up a little bit more. Like, it would be kind of... sometimes it would be like a really long gameplay section, which on its own would get broken up with cutscenes, and I could never tell, like, okay, am I about to do a big combat, or am I about to have, like, long cutscene? And then you do your standby, and if you're trying to, like, max out your relationships with everybody, the standby phase takes a long time.
Yes, it does.
It takes a very long time, and on top of that, they keep moving the characters around after you talk to each one.
Oh
so
my
it's like,
God.
if you're trying to just, like, go around and talk to everybody, it's difficult because you have to remember who you've talked to, how much, and, like, do you have gifts for them? I don't know. I need to go check.
And they get mad.
Like, oh, you don't have gifts for me? Are you stupid?
I'm so frustrated by that.
And then,
like, okay.
And then so you do this, they have this, like, exchange thing, right, at the store where you exchange parts for, like, other items and materials and stuff. And, of course, every once in a while, what happens is the store slowly unlocks more. Like and what happened that was really frustrating for me was that, oh, now you can have this. Now you can give them this gift that you couldn't give them before. Oh no, you don't have like the required items for it. Sorry. Yep. And then you have to, if you want to maximize your relationship with them or your bond after every standby phase, then you have to grind for parts. And so grinding for parts is not fun. Okay.
And I was able to max out most of my relationships by the end.
Nice.
I just gave them whatever I had available, and it was like, if you're not satisfied, I'm moving on.
That's good to know, though.
But, like, for the first half of the game, I was, like, trying to listen to all the conversations they would have, and then, like, near the end, I hit a point where it was just like, there's so many people with so many Bond episodes, it's going to take me 5 hours to go through this standby phase if I actually listen to everything. And so I started skipping the Bond episodes. I was like, let's do a Bond episode, skip, next, I'm on. Give me your powers, that's all I want. I don't care anymore. The story sucks anyways.
Whoa. I didn't mind the Bond episodes. I watched.
Same.
They were fine.
I liked them.
It's just I needed to get on with my life. You know?
That's fair, but I thought the Bond episodes were actually pretty interesting.
Some of them were good. It's just I had to get on with the game.
Yeah, it's fair.
And it was taking forever. It was taking so long.
I would argue, like, I don't know, maybe a third, if not a full half of the game is in Bond episodes.
I can see that.
Lot.
It's a lot.
It's a
I can
lot.
see that.
I mean to say, like, you need the Bond episodes to understand parts of the story.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you need.
I don't know about that.
You need them, I think, to understand, like, more holistically how everything's kind of tied together.
I guess that would be what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Isn't that how everybody wants to understand a story?
Not Austin, apparently.
Like how the characters are related to each other and things like that.
But why they care about the plot and the conflict.
Like,
I got enough of that, but also, have a good plot. These are side stories that people can miss.
Well, I want to ask, and you can answer in the spoilers territory, but do you know why Kagero cared about Tsugumi? Like, why he favored her?
I honestly can't,
okay.
I can't remember.
I saw
I can't remember who Kagero is.
Kagero's the guy who wore the cloak.
Yeah, the guy who has the invisibility power.
Who like, is just way too annoying for his own good.
I can't quite remember, but I know I saw it. It was just too long ago.
I'll tell you in the spoiler. We get to spoilers, but because it only popped up in a like one spot in a Bond episode, and then later they call back to it. But it's like an important thing.
And there's to put that little one important thing in like a very a lot of them were like, oh, I like to cook because Naomi taught me how to cook, and I have a garden because Naomi taught me how to garden, and it's like, yes, I get it. Everyone misses Naomi. She was great. I get it, and like it sucks. She's gone, but like,
oh
my gosh,
it
was too long. I really had to move on.
Okay, let me.
I've got a baby.
let me ask you this, Austin. The action sequences, like when you're going through dungeons and stuff, and getting items and killing enemies and stuff. Do you wish those were longer?
No,
outright.
I don't.
I knew it.
No,
the game was too long.
This game was too long.
All right, let's. Mox, do you have
anything
anything else?
It was too long in every aspect. There was no part where they were like, left me wanting more.
Even the cutscenes, like...
Oh my god.
How about...
And the cutscenes weren't good. Like, instead of showing you an event that was happening, they would talk about it, and they'd be like, oh, this just happened.
Well, they showed an image, right? It's like a slideshow.
Not necessarily. Sometimes they would just be like, oh my gosh, there's reports coming in. This just happened. Oh no, we better get out of here. Or go deal with that, and then you would never see it happen on screen. It was just like they would talk about it in still images of the character faces being like, oh wow, how do you feel about that? Well, I'm pretty mad. I'm pretty mad that happened. Let's go kill this guy.
Hold on.
Actually, we probably shouldn't kill this guy.
Mox, go for it.
Well, it's because like there's a lot of exposition, and I think it was well localized. And so the way you talk about it, it sounds like it's like a dumb game that to play it is painful, and it's like it doesn't really understand. It takes itself too seriously. But I disagree. I think it was very well localized, and it took itself the right amount seriously. It
was localized well.
I will agree with that.
But show, don't tell.
It was like in manga style though, with the boxes, and so it couldn't be like motion.
That's not how I want to experience a story personally. Like that, I don't.
In video game form,
if you're doing a visual medium, I want to see. Because if you're just talking about it, I get very detached from that.
What are you talking about? Are things that you should have seen? Because a lot of this happened elsewhere.
Well, like a lot of events would happen not where the action was going on. They would be like, oh, this person just got assassinated, and it was like, who is that again? I don't remember. Like, have we seen that person? I don't remember. I'm a visual person. That's just how I retain information.
See, I saw it though as you play as Kasane, and so you witness what Kasane witnesses, and she wasn't there.
And that effectively, that's true.
And
it was very much her perspective.
Yep.
From my perspective, I wanted to see more of the story that was going on rather than hear about it.
That's why you spend 20 more hours and play the other campaign.
No!
So I would bet that really the difference is the first 10 hours. And then after that, very little is different.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Well, you mean like once
we'll
they
get to it in the spoiler section.
Okay, fine, that's fair. Mox, I am curious, one last thing. Did you get to a part whenever you were playing where you have to you have the opportunity to talk to everybody that's around you before moving on?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's always clear though who you talk to advance the story.
That's true. But what did you think about those parts? Because that is a reoccurring part of this game.
I liked it. I'm trying to think of what other. Oh, it's in Final Fantasy XIV. Every single anytime you beat a dungeon, and if you're doing a quest and people like NPCs are following you, they all have something different to say, and then I'll advance the quest. And then as soon as I advance it, they all have something different to say. So I would talk to them again. I'm used to it. I like it, actually.
Okay.
More exposition, more text to read.
I'm going to bet that Austin, once he realized what was going on, he just skipped that entirely and just talked to the person that he needed to talk to.
The sections that you're talking about, I think you had to talk to everybody.
No.
No, you don't have to.
You don't have to.
I tried to find who I could talk to just make it go, and I had to talk to everybody before it would let me.
Maybe that was punishment for not following along in the Bond episodes.
I was going to say, sometimes it's Arashi, and other times it's Yuito, and then other and sometimes it's our beloved Kyoka. It's different people.
One love. Yeah, it depends. All right, moving on to the visuals. It's Austin's talked a little bit about it already. Well, everyone has, about the anime style, how the cutscenes are manga inspired. But I like how stylistic this game is. It's very stylistic. It's very, I don't know, it looks cool, very futuristic as well. I thought the UI was pretty good. What did you guys think of the visuals, Mox?
I got real tired of the red strings motif.
That's fair. Looking at the footage right now about the red strings over the cutscenes and stuff. It's
everywhere.
Yeah, yep, it's everywhere. What about you, Austin?
So usually when Bandai Namco does an anime style game, it's like they have kind of a cheapness to them, the visuals.
Whoa.
Not all of them, but a lot of their games.
Rise was beautiful.
I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying a lot of them. And this, I did not feel that here. This was pretty. This was definitely a few steps above what Bandai Namco usually puts out. For at least for their anime games like Dragon Ball Z or Naruto or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I whenever there was an actual cutscene happening, like actual motion cutscene and not here's people in a box, I thought that looked great. And the action looked great while you were doing the action. There were lots of flashy stuff during battle, especially as you start to unlock some of your abilities. I just wish there was more actual cutscene. Because those looked really good, but then they didn't happen very often, and it was
maybe 6 times in so many hours.
Yeah, it was not often, and it didn't usually last very long. But they were cool when they would happen. I wanted some more of that.
That's fair. Anything else on the visuals, Mox, that you want to
add? You could decorate your characters just
to
the nines.
Yeah, you could.
And the way that the quote unquote cutscenes, and the way that the manga, I don't even know what they were, exposition sections are, your character wears their decorations all the time.
Which is cool.
I can't get enough of it.
That is, I love when that happens in games. It's always awkward when you decorate your character and then they show it in a cutscene or something and they're completely dressed differently. It's what? This isn't...
Especially if it's a game without pre-rendered cutscenes.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Oh my god. Dead Rising, I think one of my favorite things was just putting on the most ridiculous, goofy stuff, like the Tokobot head and things like that, and then you go into a cutscene and it's just it's super serious, but you just look goofy as hell.
Mox, how long did you spend decorating your characters?
Oh, way too long. And Kyoka gives you a charm early on and says, please wear it on your person at all times. It will bring you luck. And my god, I wore it all the time.
Aw.
I know.
But doesn't Kasane be no, this is too much, and she's tries to give you more?
That's too bad. I was in charge.
I paid attention, Monks.
I did too. Attention. That's why she's wearing it, because she's friends with Kyoka. Well, also they had a Tales of Arise crossover set of items, including the owl hat that you put on your head, and Kasane wore it all the time. And it's the best because like when you see their silhouettes as they're like, I don't know, either walking toward you, away from you in loading zones. And she just had the little owl on her head all the time. I just loved it.
I did like the little touch that like the silhouettes would be of the people who were actually with you at the time. Like they would, as team members would come and go, they would like add or remove them from those little loading screens. I thought that was cool.
I didn't notice that at all. Interesting.
Oh, if you gave them one of those like spinning icon, glowy icon things as a decoration, it shows up everywhere, including in the silhouette.
Yeah,
nice.
That I did see in that. I thought that was cool. It helped me with remembering which power they have, because you can put the symbol of the power. At least one of the decorations I had, you can put the symbol.
Glad you
can have them wear it.
Were able to accommodate that for yourself.
Jeez.
For you. You don't remember based on their like who they are?
Nah.
What?
They're just weapons. They're just weapons to me. No, I'm kidding. God. I'm kidding. Okay. So the soundtrack of this game, it's the first, I believe, from what I could tell, it's the first soundtrack that this his name's Hayata Takeda has composed, and I really dug it. I thought it had like a kind of like a futuristic Persona vibe to it. Thought it was pretty neat and pretty solid. Mox, I know typically you don't listen, like music doesn't like vibe with you the same that it does me and Austin, or in particular, more specifically me. But what did you think of this music?
It was okay. I liked the more orchestral elements than the like, I don't know, punk rocky elements.
Yeah, and it had some jazz too in there.
Yeah, I like that part. I didn't like the kind of hard punk rock elements as much.
I'm gonna ask you this question that I try to remember to ask every time. Would you listen to this outside of the game? Like just
No.
Nope. Okay. Austin?
So I definitely like the city themes, and some of the others. Like I'm trying to remember what the battle music sounded like in different spots, but there were definitely areas where I vibed more than others. But when I was vibing, it was just like, yes. I actually, way back before we played this for Game Club, because like I had bought it around launch and played it a little bit, but I didn't get like very far in. And I bought the vinyl. Tyler made fun of me, and now
he's laughing now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Gosh, jeez. Says the guy. Like, gosh, Austin has vinyl for games he's never even touched.
I have vinyl for games that don't exist.
Talk about spoilers. Are we at the spoiler part yet?
We're almost there. We'll get there. We'll get there. Got plenty of time. I got nothing but time. No rush. Controls and interface really quickly. I thought they did a really, really good job on juggling your powers and how the controls work, especially at the end. I thought it was really easy to do some really cool combos and stuff, and I thought it was easy to navigate all the menus. It was pretty good, I thought, controls and interface-wise.
Whoa, I have one problem, though. I don't know how you guys found dodging, because you could not interrupt to dodge, and there were a lot of like movements when you got into the battle and you were like doing battle attacks where the movement is so long. I couldn't dodge. That
did happen. I just accepted my fate.
The dodge window for like actually getting like a counter is super tight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So besides dodging though, Mox, everything.
Yeah. I guess I really like dodging mechanics, and it figured into my brain map a lot, because there's a lot of them that are like dodge, then extend, or like get back some of your, SAS power, or like do a follow-up attack. And so I really enjoy that fighting style, and it just wasn't, it's like it wasn't made for this, even though they put it in the game. It was really frustrating to me.
That's fair. I can see that. Especially with the way that the attacks work, like you were describing, how you're kind of locked in to do something. And
like you could buy points, spend points to get a counter for if objects are flying at you to throw them back. But so often I didn't get that prompt, and by the time I was like able to act on it, the prompt was gone. It was so frustrating.
Yeah, I ran into that a few times myself.
It's fast.
It's really quick. Yeah.
I guess I want to say who could get that? It was too fast, but maybe I just have slow reaction time.
No, it was difficult. I missed it a lot myself. Performance-wise, I thought it, like, I didn't run into any issues on Series X, at least, and it ran pretty smoothly. Mox, did you play on Steam Deck?
I did.
The whole game?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, the 10 hours I played.
And?
It was great. It was fine. I do think it was a bit tiny. Some of the menus were tiny, but I had no issues.
Is it a green check mark? Like
I don't see, or on the Proton DB, I don't see why it wouldn't be gold or whatever the ones that are up there.
Platinum.
It worked perfectly for me, although I'm waiting for Austin to be like, no, it crashed, garbage, horrible.
So I did have a few issues. On Steam Deck specifically, I had a few times where if I put the game into standby and then came back in, the next time I would enter combat, the game would just completely freeze.
Wow.
Okay, that actually... Okay, I forgot about that. That actually did happen to me on Xbox as well.
What?
Yep.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, like, it happened to me consistently, and then Steam Deck got some update that it didn't happen to me anymore after that, so that was nice. I had a couple of instances on my desktop where I would beat a boss, and then, like, whatever was supposed to happen after the boss died just didn't trigger. And so I was just stuck in this battlefield, and I would have to restart the boss, and it would always be a really hard boss.
Was
so
it Rotunda
really
Pagoda? Because God, I hated that boss fight. That was the one that spawned 1,000 bugs every time.
Oh gosh, it was probably
no, it was not that one.
It was probably.
I was going to feel really sad for you if it was that one.
It's probably
one of
punishment.
them was the twins.
Oh.
Oh.
And then I forget what the other one was, but both times I was just like, I gotta do this again.
It's probably because you didn't pay attention to the side stories, Austin.
Oh my gosh.
How dare you?
I didn't have any crashes or issues whatsoever, but granted, I did play 10 hours, so maybe that's not enough time.
And we paid attention to the side stories, Mox. Austin did not.
I know.
Karma. All right, it's time. Spoilers tag. We can talk about whatever you want in the story. We're not going to rehash it, but whatever. Let's talk about it. Mox, okay. You have stuff. You have words.
Lead the discussion.
Please do.
So I was in our, Discord chat, and I was falling behind on the game because I was like, whatever, I have time. It's just another couple hours I have to play it. Wrong. It was another 20 hours I had to play. My bad. But you guys were like, this story, I don't know what it is. What is going on? It's just crazy. If I was going to play the second character, but if it is what I think it is, I'm not gonna. And so I was like, what is this story? And then I watched it all of the cutscenes, and I was like, oh, okay. It's just like sci-fi whatsoever. Easy, just sci-fi. Weird sci-fi. I can jive with it. So I want to hear what you guys thought. What was the stuff that you couldn't deal with?
I thought the time traveling stuff was just too convenient and just too, I don't know.
Time traveling for whom or across all of it?
Kasane and Yuito sharing the same mom.
Okay.
Come on. Did that need to happen?
That's not, but she was created.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
They aren't really siblings.
I know, not really, but it's just it didn't need to be that way, and the story would have been fine. So I thought there was a lot of
they have the same power.
I know, but
and so did she.
But people can have the same power and not be related in this universe.
No.
What?
What's an example of someone? Every single person in the game except for those three who are related.
Well, there's a lot of people that you don't see, like other squads.
And they were
I have to assume some people have the same
And
power.
they were talking about how some people get powers and some people don't, right? They're duds.
Yes.
And my understanding...
Yuito was a dud, by the way, so they gave him the power.
That's true.
Why not give him the power of his mom?
Well, they didn't give him a power. Kasane gave him a power.
Yeah.
I know. So
by time traveling back to see him.
Paradox.
Which she only did because she met him in the future when he had a power, so that doesn't make any sense. But whatever, that's okay. It's okay.
I liked it because there was a post on Reddit that's is this an open loop time travel story or a closed loop time travel story? Because usually you pick one, but this was definitely both. where open loop is like, you can change whatever you want, but it just goes along a path of the infinite plot lines that could happen. And so everything in that way is like possible, but it is also already existed and like predetermined. And then closed loop is it will go the same way. You can't change anything. If you think you change something, something else gets knocked out of place to complete the loop. But it's both, which is dumb in my opinion. They need to pick one.
I think they also kind of just like would go explore something a little bit and then just drop it for the rest of the game.
Yep.
Like they made it seem like future Yuito was going to be super important. And then
he wasn't.
You go visit him once and then that's it. That's donezo.
Well, if you play Yuito's side, you don't. Obviously, okay. But
well, Kasane is like told you have to kill Yuito. It's the only way to finish it. And I don't know, maybe like 6 hours of the game is spent with her. Maybe it's 4. I don't know.
We have to kill Yuito.
It's spent like, oh, I got to kill Yuito, which is also like, just because future Yuito said you have to kill him, that's the only way. She just believed him instantly. Like, that's it. That's the only way.
And then she turns on a dime and is like, nah, don't need to kill Yuito.
But with even less evidence than her first conviction. I was really frustrated with that. I had to felt like I had whiplash. That didn't.
And her team is like, we'll support you in what you're doing, except we will not help you kill Yuito, but we'll help you get to him.
Yeah.
And we'll help you fight, but we won't help you kill him. Even though we know you're going to kill him, but we're not going to help you do that part. But we'll help you get there so you can do it.
Well, what was even worse to me was then Kasane is like, okay, I'm not going to be a lone wolf anymore. We're all going to make decisions as a team. And then, so somehow they all decide to go to, oh my God, what's it called? The place where where Kyoka just goes insane. I can't remember what it's called. Togetsu.
Yeah.
And it's like they said multiple times, we all decided to go to Togetsu, except Kagero said he would go and he'll just put up with it. And even though he's the one that could have said, don't go. Like he had veto power. I was so mad. They made that decision.
Also,
he's like me with video game club.
Oh my gosh.
God. Also, there's people on the moon. The moon people.
Why didn't we get to see the moon?
Yeah.
That's for Scarlet Nexus 2, obviously.
No.
Oh, please no.
They talked about the moon so much.
They did.
And they never, ever, ever, ever showed anything on the moon.
But you know why? Because there are others. There's like nothing on the moon.
There's time travel. You could go back and see
the moon.
No, but that creates an entanglement.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
I know, but we're going to deal with the entanglements anyway.
Speaking of entanglements, Karin and his whole story, like,
oh my God,
was so upset about like what his ultimate like
you can say it.
I'm trying to think of
motivation.
Yes, motivation was, which was just
love.
Garbage. Not even though, because she was promised to what's his name, Fubuki.
Yeah.
Like Alice, they grew up together.
But he
they
loves
knew each other for 0.1 seconds. And then she sacrificed himself, and then, oh my gosh, that's it. He has to set this whole chain of events into motion.
Apparently, it's really easy to make human connection in this game.
I was very upset about that.
And then Alice comes back, and she's like, who? Oh.
Because he went back and erased his existence,
obviously,
which I hate that kind of resolution, where the answer is nothing,
Mm-hmm.
I hate that resolution.
It's like you go back in time and it's like none of your decisions matter, right? Or something like that.
I mean, that's
but it was well localized.
It was.
Oh my God! Will you stop?
It was. I say all this, and it's not that I didn't like the story. It's that there were a lot of like cheap shots, I guess, where I wish more would have been taken. But I want to call back. So the reason Kagero likes Tsugumi is because he named his daughter when he lived on the moon 2,000 years ago Tsugumi. It's a coincidence. But
see, that doesn't make me like the story more.
Well, I only say that because you learned that in a Bond episode, but then in the epilogue or whatever, it like calls back to it. And I don't know if you didn't get there in the Bond episodes, would he say it? I assume he would. And you would be so confused.
Lost. Mm-hmm.
And he like plays this weird, like, I don't know, like he insists on going on dates with Kasane and then is like, you're my daughter in like a weird, gross way. And then at one point she was like, oh, so I call you Daddy Kagero? And he's like, no, you shouldn't do that. I need to protect my pride, which made no sense to me. I didn't get it. It was gross. Anyway.
Well, if you had been watching the other Bond episode, actually,
and the anime, they actually go over this.
Oh my
god!
But I liked how all the Bond episodes that involved Naomi, where Kasane was like, I have no idea where Naomi had the time to talk to all these people, and apparently she was way more important than I thought she was, which I agree. When did she have the time?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
It's a good call out. But, Mox, despite all this criticism, you did enjoy the story, though. Right?
I was glad to have taken it all in, and it wasn't horrible to take in, and I didn't mind the twists and the turns, namely with Kyoka and Kagero, and I didn't care for Karin, though, at all, and his name is awful.
His name is terrible.
Like a lot of the twists and turns were just like, hey, what if you fought this character? How do we make the story go in that direction for a little bit? Okay, now let's forget all about that.
I disagree. I feel like they looped it around nicely, especially with Kyoka and a little bit with Kagero.
They, like, set it up a little bit, but then it happened, and then she was just like, oh, sorry, I'm back to normal now.
Also,
yeah.
Something I also don't like about the story is with the Bond episodes is some people, no matter how many gifts you give them, how many Bond episodes you have with them, they're still terrible people to you. Like, they're just rude.
Oh, like Shiden.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a few of them, and it's just like, okay, so I invested my time learning about your story, giving you gifts, you know, going out of my way to talk with you just for you to continue to be a jerk. Like, thanks for the power improvements, but like, you can't say, you know, be nice a little bit.
That amuses me. I assume you didn't watch any of the Kasane Bond episodes and are speaking only about the Yuito ones, because that is wholly not true of the Kasane ones. Everyone, and like, except Shiden, who is like puts up with, like, you could put up with him, but he's still nice. Everybody's still nice to Kasane, which means, gosh, what a pushover Yuito is, and he always was in the whole game, and I was really tired of him as a character.
Wow.
Also, Kasane keeps coming to kill him. She's like, I'm going to kill you. And he's like, hey, you want to talk? And every time he sees her from then on, he's like, hey, can we talk? Can we talk, Kasane? I know you want to kill me, but can we talk?
You look just like the person who saved me forever ago.
The worst part is that for the better part of the game, he knew she killed his dad. And then at one point, they were like, oh, I guess we better tell you it's Kagero. And he's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But had no complaints with her up to that point. Like, I'm like, they should have just left it be that she killed his dad, and then Kagero wouldn't be in trouble.
Well, in Yuito's side, he does like a little bit of complaining and stuff about that, and they bring it up a few times.
Well, he doesn't say any of that to Kasane.
Then when he sees Kasane, he's just like, yeah, let's chat. It's okay. Yeah. You killed my dad and you want to kill me? I would just want to be your friend.
And then as soon as it comes out...
Let's have Bond episodes, guys.
That's going to be my new thing. Hey, Mox, let's have a Bond episode.
Oh, God.
Can I meet you here for a Bond episode?
I definitely got, like, the number of times that they had to set up a weird reason for why they had to go somewhere for a Bond episode, it was so forced every time. It was
That is fair.
Especially people of the opposite side, because you could do that a lot. It was like, hey, I know we're fighting.
Yeah,
let's just like meet up and talk.
Yeah, that was so stupid. And it was only like it seemed like it was only some of them that would do that.
Yeah, it was.
I know we're fighting, but I'm gonna brain text you, and then if you're interested, maybe you'll brain text me back, and then maybe we can hang out at this bar. And I'll complain to you about how awful of a person you are. Then you'll like me.
That reminds me of the number of times they've said brain in this game that half of them should have been Control F replaced with mind, because I cannot hear that the word brain said that many times.
You're so right, Mox.
And for like the stuff that they were talking, there was like, oh, he's a brain eater. They eat brains or things like that. Like, there were, between that and, like, a lot of moments where something would happen, like, off-camera, that you could tell it was, like, something messed up, like somebody dying in some horrible way. I feel like if they had made the game rated M, some of those moments would have had more impact.
I think in Japanese culture, they block a lot of, like, head injuries, right? Like, decapitation is a no-no.
I can't remember if it's the case right now, but for a while it was like you couldn't have a game with decapitation in it.
Yeah.
Like you would be refused a rating.
I wonder Yeah.
This game only has decapitation.
I know.
Sorry,
so I wonder if that's why they blurred out a lot of it. Okay, I know they have a story reason for why it's blurred out, but let's pretend that story reason doesn't exist for a second.
No, but that's silly. Okay.
No, but I think they added it in there.
I
think they added it in there because of the rating system. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they were going for a T.
Yeah.
And, I get it. I think it would have had more impact if it was just like, oh my god.
Like Zero Z or whatever.
Like Naomi turned into another, it was like, okay, give me some body horror. Like, show her transformation. Like, make me feel how horrific this was for her.
Yeah.
Or,
I didn't like when she was like, I can't keep taking the ampules. They're made from human brains.
Yeah.
And even though I know that they're made from human brains, I just need to do this last thing of humanity so that I don't keep using the ampules that are made from human brains. Every time I was laughing. I thought of the scene from, Young Frankenstein, where they're looking at all the different brains to put in the monster. Funny.
It's a good movie.
Abby Normal.
All right. All right. Personal takes, no spoilers, with a score. Starting with you, Austin. You have the floor.
So, the combat was like fun at the start, and then for a large chunk of the middle, it felt kind of tedious.
But then,
and then at the end, you've unlocked some things on your brain map, and like a story event happens that it's like your combat just gets like unlocked to where it's really fun. And I think they should have done that much earlier in the game, because that's where like the real fun of the combat is, where you start to really. Because, like, at the start, you can use one person's power, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the end, if you've done your brain map right, then it's like, okay, I can activate 3 powers, and you start to do some really cool combinations. And like the last chapter, I just felt like superpower. Like I started to actually have fun with the game again after a long time of not having fun. Wish that had started a lot earlier. I think the pacing was pretty off. And I wish that the story was more show and less tell. Music was really good. I think the visuals were pretty good for a Bandai Namco game. I wish there was more of the visuals, especially like cutscene wise. But at the very least, like combat visuals are really cool, especially some of the flashy stuff that you can do. Like the finishers looked really cool.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I did not like this game as much as I thought that I would, or that I hoped that I would, and I would probably give it like a 6 out of 10.
Ooh, okay. Mox, what about you?
I feel similarly that I thought I would like it more than I did, but like for different reasons. And I will say again, I played 10 hours of the game, which somehow is pretty much still tutorial zone. And definitely, like, the last thing I did before I was like, okay, I can't finish it before Video Game Club. I have to like go cutscenes, is play this boss that you have to like avoid these circles on the ground. And then if you don't, you lose damage phase entirely and have to fight ads. And then as you play longer in the battle, the space in which you can actually play the battle is limited very much. And it was just so not fun. And I can imagine that if I had like 12 more points on my brain map or whatever, it would have been more fun. But it's like, I don't know. They like threw me in, and then I just had no fun with that. And that was like similar with a bunch of other bosses too, which is like, I just wanted more points. And there's no way to like farm either to like get more of that stuff sooner. You just have to wait. And then that was frustrating, but I didn't mind the story, although I wish it had more, it was like more rounded out and deep, instead of being as like shallow and hand wavy as it was. But I didn't hate it as much as you guys did, or at least yeah. And I did like the depth that you could have with other characters, and it was well localized, and there was a lot of like nuance and intrigue with the other characters, which I liked. But some of it also was hand wavy and like, force this, you gotta talk to this person even though they're your enemy right now, you gotta talk to him right now, which seemed rather silly. The music was okay. Visuals were okay. I didn't like how everything was ruins, but there were some places that weren't, and those were cool places. So, I don't know, just like, it's like, oh, it just leaves something missing. But it wasn't bad. I think I would give it a 7.
Okay.
And to be clear, I didn't hate the story. I just didn't find it very compelling. And I
agree. It was like, you could shelve it. If it was a book, I could shelve it at any moment and not be upset that I didn't finish it. I wasn't compelled to continue reading or watching, as it were. It was just kind of like,
I had zero desire to replay from Yuito's perspective to be like, what's different about this campaign? Because
I forgot to mention too that if I've been paying attention, the story coalesces so much. I really don't think there's that much difference other than what happens to your friend, and then your perspective of certain elements that are kind of explained to you anyway from the other side.
Yeah.
And I started Yuito's campaign just to be like, let's see, is there... And it starts pretty much identically.
Same. Yeah.
I really wish they would have... I was waiting for the story element to explain why I would play from Yuito's perspective, which is easy in a time travel game, and they didn't loop it back.
Not in a good... No, they didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have been great if a New Game Plus would have been, you play as the other character, but they know everything that's going to happen. And so
you have unique dialogue options too, maybe. And stuff.
Well, I want there
to maybe it plays out differently.
Yeah. I want there to be this.
Now I know
you play the seasons, and then you link it to Ages, and you play it a bit differently than when you play Ages by itself, and then you get a full extra storyline. That does not happen in this game.
Not everything can be as good as Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, unfortunately. Yeah.
Gosh, when's that remake, please?
God, for real. Don't even tease. Okay, so I agree with both of you for different reasons. I did like the music and presentation. I liked the combat, and I agree with Austin that it gets kind of boring in the middle and then it picks up at the end. But I did like the challenge. I thought for me it was a perfect challenge, the combat. I had...
Did you like fighting human bosses?
No. I had to use items, which it's always interesting. So there's always games, especially RPGs, where you'll play where you're like, I'm gonna save these items because eventually I'll have to use them, and you never do. You in the game and you're like, oh, I guess I just never use these. But this game I actually did use my items. I hated fighting the humans, especially the ones that you fight over and over again. That was very annoying because you're like, oh, this time I'll kill him. No. This time, no. So you're just basically, there's nothing, that there's no good outcome of the fight. It doesn't really matter if you do well or not. Besides progressing the story, which the story to me, I thought was just pretty meh, and I wasn't really that into it. And I thought a lot of the dialogue was kind of cheesy and long. And I think when I was playing it, I was like, oh, this probably should have been an anime. And then I found out an anime came out right around the same time. And it was kind of a tie-in. I don't know if it's a tie-in or if it's legit, the game in anime form. It might be.
I don't care enough to look it up.
Yeah.
My favorite part, though, was definitely the end. And I liked, Mox, you brought up a really good point about how there was a lot of places that you went to that were ruins, and that was kind of repetitive, and I agree. And I think for me, the game would have been a lot better if they would have had more variety. Going to the snow area was pretty cool. Going into this crazy base thing was pretty cool.
Snow area,
but the ruins was kind of
pyrokinesis in the snow area, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we didn't have that. So going through the glacier after glacier after glacier was so annoying. It was like, why did you put 3 of these in a row in a cave?
Yeah,
that's not fun.
The other thing that I was a big fan of was that sometimes when you would do your telekinesis, psychokinesis, whatever stuff, it would have some unique interactions. You could ride something, or you could
those were cool.
Control something in a very unique way, and I thought that was really, really fun. But
they actually called those spots on the map, they marked them as gimmicks, and I was like, that's a kind of self-deprecating way to describe it, but it's accurate, but it's fun.
They were fun.
Yeah.
To me, I think this game is I also was expecting to like this a lot more. I think whenever we were talking about this vote was a little different because we kind of decided all together. And I remember talking about it, and everyone was like, "Oh, I really hope Scarlet Nexus wins because like maybe we should just play Scarlet Nexus and just be like, no, we're just playing Scarlet Nexus." And I was like, no, let's do a vote. But I'm curious if like another game would have won if we would have liked it more, if it would have surprised us or something.
Just really want to play Tales of Arise.
I know. But for me, I think this is a 6 out of 10, and I have no desire to go back and play it. And this game was on Game Pass, and I couldn't finish it in time, so I had to buy it, and I was a very angry person because I had to buy it. I had to buy it during the boring part. I was like, ah. But anyway, that was our little dive and take on Scarlet Nexus. If you enjoyed hearing us discuss this game and want to join us for the next game, stay put, because the vote just ended, and it was between Neon White, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, and Pokemon Snap. And the winner is Neon White. So, thank you everyone who voted. The next episode will be on January 22nd at 2 o'clock Eastern. Thank you everyone for joining. And thank you for everyone watching, listening, all those things. Again, if you want to catch us live, we're on twitch.tv/BombchuTV. But if you don't, that's okay. You can find it on YouTube, all major podcast services. Austin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And Mox, thank you for joining us and watching the movie version as well for the end. And paying attention to the story so that you could educate us on, especially Austin, on the Bond episodes.
As always, of course.
I'm Tyler, and this was Video Game Club episode 62, Scarlet Nexus, and we're out.